What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. So, who is the best in the world? If you ask me, I'll say Chris Jericho. Why? Well, look at his resume. Look what he accomplished, and look at how he has reinvented himself time after time. So for me, Jericho is in the top 10 GOATs. Like, he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. To some, he is the greatest. Simply put, he's the best in the world at what he does. Whether he's a rock star or whether he's a wrestler, it doesn't matter. As for this man, he simply claims that he's the best in the world. The reason why he claims that is either because of the impact he made in 2011, or he's just arrogant. What do you guys think? Was Punk during this time period the best in the world? I mean, he does have a claim to it. In this video, I cover the heated feud between the Second City Saint CM Punk and Y2J Chris Jericho. For me to talk about this one, we gotta give some background, but before I do, let me just say that the next video is gonna be based off a poll once again. So, for those of you that never vote, what are you waiting for? I give you 5 options and you choose one. Whoever gets the most vote is the next video. That's how it is. Right now, let's get into the video. Y2J Chris Jericho, the very first undisputed champion, had went on his second hiatus away from WWE in September of 2010. During that time, he appeared on Dancing with the Stars, he focused on Fozzy, and he was just having fun. As for CM Punk, he made a name for himself during this time period. Sure, he won the World Heavyweight Championship 3 times beforehand, but on June 27, 2011, CM Punk shocked the wrestling world when he unleashed a tirade against WWE, John Cena, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, and the fans. The pipe bomb instantly made him the number 2 or arguably the number 1 star alongside John Cena. Although that's debatable in itself because Randy Orton might have a claim. Now, that's not from the company's perspective because it was John Cena who was number 1 and right down below it was CM Punk. Nonetheless, CM Punk won the WWE Championship in his hometown of Chicago at Money in the Bank. Punk's merchandise sold very well and rumor has it at one point he outsold John Cena. I also heard a rumor that WWE tampered with his merch so Cena could stay number 1. About his popularity, CM Punk had this to say in an interview with the New York Post in November of 2011. It's really interesting that no one has been able to scratch at Cena as the ace of the company. I've always been a believer in my own abilities and said if given a shot, I could be that guy. I think John Cena's appeal is that he's a superhero, a big muscle-bound He-Man type guy. I've beat John Cena on merchandise sales, and I won't get into that, but if you put my ugly face on a poster because I don't look like a superhero. Basically, what Punk is trying to say is that he's a normal man. He's the anti-hero. He doesn't need to be a superhero to be popular. CM Punk would recapture the WWE Championship at Survivor Series to begin his historic year-long title reign. During this time period, promos or vignettes played on WWE TV signaling someone's arrival. Also, right around this week, rumors circulated about Chris Jericho returning to WWE for WrestleMania 28. Jericho, being the troll he is, had this to say in an interview. Punk is great. He's done a great job, but as of right now, as much as people don't like to hear it, sorry, I don't have any plans right now to go back to the WWE. But I never said I wouldn't go back. Just now is not the right time for me. And obviously he lied, because on the first Raw of 2012, Chris Jericho returned as a fan favorite? I'm not even sure. I just assumed he was a face because he came out all excited, and 2, the last time we saw him, he was a suit-wearing, egotistical heel. Now, the problem with this return was the fact that he couldn't speak. Like, he just come on, he's like, come on, baby. He didn't even cut a promo. He was just standing in the middle of the ring, and then he'd walk out. But the good part in this is the fact that the crowd were really happy to see Y2J, and oh man, that jacket was so damn cool. Jericho in the coming weeks would only utter a few words. One of the things he said was that at the Royal Rumble, it's going to be the end of the world as you know it. That's it. He said that, and he didn't even win the Rumble. Instead, it was Sheamus. Now, personally, I thought Y2J should have won this one. Yeah, sure, it was predictable, but the crowd was kind of deflated when Sheamus won. That's how I felt. Jericho was the most deserving guy to win it, other than Kane. Those two are the most deserving guys to win the Royal Rumble in history. The next night on Raw, Chris Jericho interfered in CM Punk's match with Daniel Bryan. He had a code breaker on him signaling his intentions. He wants the WWE Championship. The next week, Chris Jericho explained his actions. He said that he manipulated the fans without saying a word. He said that The Miz copied him by wearing a suit and talking slowly. Kofi Kingston copied him by hitting some impressive moves. Before R-Truth said what's up, he said shut the hell up. Before Dolph Ziggler came out to the ring with Vicky, he came out with Stephanie McMahon in the main event of WrestleMania 18. And the worst fraud of them all, CM Punk. He proclaims himself to be the best in the world. He's not original or unique. He's nothing more than a Chris Jericho wannabe. And Punk himself knows that Jericho is the best in the world at what he does. Jericho doesn't need to put it on the back of a t-shirt because he knows it. Jericho said that he earned this moniker and now he's back to reclaim what's his. All of a sudden, CM Punk interrupted this. When Punk entered the ring, he said nothing and instead he raised the title in the air, signaling that he's actually the best in the world. He turned his back to Jericho, who proceeded to do nothing. As Punk walked up the ramp, Jericho demanded that he speak to him. Later that night, Jericho stole Punk's pinfall to enter the Elimination Chamber last, cause that's the reason why he was insulting all of those guys. At the Chamber, CM Punk literally kicked Jericho out of the match. He kicked him right in the head, which sent him to the outside, and he got knocked out. CM Punk ended up retaining the title by eliminating The Miz. As for Jericho, he wasn't eliminated, so he got an opportunity the next night to participate in a Battle Royal, with the winner going on to WrestleMania, where they'll face CM Punk. Jericho won that Battle Royal, and after the match, Punk offered Y2J a handshake. Jericho instead turned it down, and he walked away. The next week, both men had this memorable promo. Jericho said that he's part of a special breed of performers that toured the world, honing their craft, learning their skills, and becoming stars before coming to the WWE. Jericho added that Punk is just like him, a maverick, a rebel that went against the grain and became something more than anyone thought he would. He called Punk and the fans Chris Jericho wannabes before Punk tried to stop him. Punk said that he and the fans know how good Y2J is. Punk said that he never plagiarized anyone, and he worked his way up. He mentioned Bret Hart, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, and he asked Jericho if he invented him. Jericho bounced back saying that he's won dozens of titles, and he had dozens of moments that will be legendary after they're gone. Punk replied to this stating that Jericho's words scream inferiority. He asked him if he's trying to prove to himself if he's the best in the world. Punk said that calling himself the best may sound cocky, but confidence is something he's never lacked. He said that Jericho's confidence has been replaced by jealousy. Yeah, sure. Jericho beat Austin and Rock on the same night to win the title, but he was never the man like CM Punk. Punk claimed that this bothers Y2J, and that's why he places the blame on Punk. The WWE champion said that this is what he does while Jericho goes on tour, and while he's here swimming with sharks, Jericho's dancing with stars. Y2J replied to this saying that while he was dancing with stars, all he could think of is CM Punk ripping him off. Every single night, Jericho thought of that. Jericho said that he came back to the WWE for one reason and one reason only, to embarrass CM Punk and take his title, thereby proving that he's actually the best in the world. Punk replied to this saying that he didn't need the glitz and the glam to promote his match, and he also insulted Jericho's light-up jacket. All Punk needed was a ring to have one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. And after that match, Jericho is going to observe Punk celebrating his victory. He also said that it's not going to be the end of the world. It's just going to be the end of Jericho's. Damn, what a promo by both men. These two tore each other apart. That quote that CM Punk said that he was swimming with sharks and Jericho was dancing with stars, that was one of the more memorable quotes CM Punk ever had for me. Later that night, Chris Jericho ambushed CM Punk and he locked him in the walls. After Punk's matchup on the March 12, 2012 episode of Raw, Chris Jericho popped up on the Titantron. He called CM Punk a fraud, but not because of claiming to be the best in the world. He mentioned Punk's strange lifestyle. They said that Punk's father was an alcoholic and he let him down. Y2J added that Punk built a facade of being someone who cares about nothing. Y2J even asked Punk if he wanted the pain of a tattoo needle to take his mind off alcohol. Jericho also added that Punk is going to drink eventually, and after he takes away everything from him, he's going to take a drink and it's going to taste so good that he's going to take another one and another one and another one. He ended the promo stating that Punk is going to be remembered for being a pathetic damn drunk. Damn, this is where it got personal. Once again, the following week, Chris Jericho appeared on the Titantron. He regret all of those remarks he made towards Punk and his family the previous week, and he apologized and hoped Punk would accept his apology. He promised not to say anything about Punk's father, but then he mentioned Punk's sister. Jericho said that CM Punk's sister has problems with drugs. He added that it's Punk's destiny to drink, and he ended the promo stating that Punk will never overcome his loss at WrestleMania. The WWE champion called Jericho bull, and he added that that's what he's going to beat out of him at WrestleMania. You'd think this was the end of Jericho appearing on the Titantron and getting personal, but on the final Raw before WrestleMania, Jericho once again appeared on the Titantron. This time, Jericho mentioned Punk's mother. He informed us that Punk's parents' wedding date took place after Punk's birthday, which makes him the legal definition of a bastard. Christian then attacked Punk, and this would come back to bite him as the WWE champion destroyed him. He absolutely annihilated him. Due to the attack, Christian missed out on a WrestleMania payday. For me, I thought this was the perfect feud for Punk after Chris Jericho. Sadly, that never came to fruition. At WrestleMania, the two finally faced off. Before I talk about the match itself, I just gotta mention the story of Jericho's jacket. When Y2J came out to the ring, one side of his light-up jacket was broken. The reason for this was because Christian and Brodus Clay were goofing around wearing it before the match. Anyways, Jericho and Punk had a great matchup. I thought it could have been better, but nonetheless, it was good enough. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I just remember enjoying it. Punk kept his composure throughout the match, because if he got disqualified, then Jericho wins the title, and in the end, it was CM Punk who made Chris Jericho tap out to the Anaconda Vice. Now, the question I have is, did this match deserve to main event? On any other card, maybe, but WrestleMania 28? Hell no. Cena and Rock was one of the most anticipated matches ever, so why wouldn't they main event? I mean, who remembers WrestleMania 18? Chris Jericho was in the main event, and Rock and Hogan, they stole the show. The next night on Raw, Chris Jericho came out after Punk's matchup with Mark Henry. He promised to lead Punk down the road of alcoholism, and he poured alcohol on the WWE Champion. While Jericho was attacking Punk, he slipped, and that in itself was more memorable than the ending of this segment. Every once in a while, I always think of Jericho slipping. I don't think about the part where he smashes the bottle over Punk's head. The following week, Jericho once again poured alcohol on the champ, and he mentioned the fact that Punk drank the previous week. On the April 23rd episode of Raw, Chris Jericho noticed Punk taking a drink of that alcohol he gave him. He asked John Laurinaitis to strip the champ of his title since he's drinking on the job. He then gave the idea of Punk taking a sobriety test. Punk was livid at the announcement. Like, he didn't like this one bit. Punk tried to get out of this test, but he couldn't. They forced him to recite the alphabet backwards, and it seemed like he was all good. He initially acted like he was under the influence, he recited the alphabet, and once he reached A, he blasted Jericho with a mic and he kicked his ass. Since these two absolutely despised one another, a match was booked for Extreme Rules. Chris Jericho and CM Punk in a Chicago street fight. This matchup reminded me of those Attitude Era main events minus the blood. The crowd was obviously into it because, you know, Chicago. And Jericho resorted to cheap tactics like going up to Punk's sister and taunting her. Basically usual heel stuff, except Jericho, like, he really made it work. He was man of the match for me. He was brilliant. CM Punk ended up winning this one with a GTS to end the feud. I didn't really speak about this match since I haven't watched it in a while. And that's it for this feud. These two did have a small feud the following year, but that was more Chris Jericho and Paul Heyman. Nonetheless, Jericho and Punk tore the house down at Payback. In an interview with Busted Open back in 2014, Chris Jericho had this to say about his feud with CM Punk. With the CM Punk feud in 2012, my thing is I wanted to take it to the next level. I wanted to tattoo him. Vince loved it and then was kind of talked out of it. I think someone got in his ear that there is going to be blood. Plus, Vince said that he has 1 million tattoos. Well, it doesn't matter if he has 1 million tattoos. What if I tattoo my initials on him for real? Punk was saying, let's do this for real. And that is like being violated. This is why we switched over to the alcohol thing, and I got a lot of hate for that. People say, oh, my father is an alcoholic, and how dare you say and use that as a crutch for a pro wrestling storyline. Guess what? That is why I did it. I was begging Vince for us to do the tattoo angle. Someone had told Vince that tattoos will create blood, and Vince got scared. Plus, Vince doesn't have tattoos, so he doesn't get it. He came up with the idea that Punk's dad has problems with alcohol, and you think he wouldn't go for it, and to Punk's credit, he went for it. I don't know if he had issues with his family and he wanted to take it out with them, and I don't even think he told his dad about it. Punk gave us full 100% with it, as he should have, and then his sister got involved, and then it got real. Man, Jericho, he likes the controversial stuff. Now, about this feud, I always saw it as Chris Jericho being desperate. He just wanted to prove to everyone that he still is the best in the world at what he does. At some points, his body language screamed desperation. He just wanted to beat CM Punk at WrestleMania. As for CM Punk, he once again tried proving that he is the best in the world. So, all in all, this brought us a decent feud. I thought it could have been better, and I thought it could have been longer, but they lost a bit of momentum heading into Extreme Rules. And yeah, that's it. That's it for this video. Make sure you hit a GTS on the like button and perhaps a code breaker on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.